the president has weighed in.
Oh, great.
Tweeting, "Sleepy Joe Biden's victory in the South Carolina Democrat primary should be the end of mini Mike Bloomberg's joke of a campaign. After the worst debate performance in the history of presidential debates, mini Mike now has Biden split up his very few voters, taking many away." Now that is an insult to everyone's intelligence and also
correct.
Kind of correct. I mean, look, the funny thing is, it's not even in Trump's best interest necessarily for them to follow that advice, but I don't disagree with it. And look, and this isn't very often goalposts shift as soon as you see the results, but to be fair, we talked this week about, from Mike Bloomberg's point of view, there is no good outcome in South Carolina. If Bernie wins, we're probably done. That's terrible for Bloomberg. And if Biden wins, then what's the point of Bloomberg at that point if Biden's back in this? And it does look like, especially if Bloomberg is going to be running in Super Tuesday, what could be a pretty important day for Biden is gonna be severely hamstrung by Bloomberg taking away a bunch of the vote that he could be getting, especially in big states. Like in Texas, he definitely needs that vote.
Yes, please do. I mean, you look at the Texas polls, and if, I'm gonna play mainstream media here, but if Bloomberg was actually Biden and they were a Frankenstein of human beings, they could take over Bernie Sanders in Texas, but that's not the reality there. Who knows though? We don't even know if Bloomberg's polling lead or polling numbers translates to votes because he hasn't competed in any of the first 4 primary contests. A lot of what polling indicates are likely voters but who knows in this election, and name recognition. It always favors those 2 things. That's why Biden's polling lead has not panned out for him in the first 3 states. And could we see the same effect with Bloomberg on Super Tuesday? We do not know. We just know that he's going to attempt to patch up everything with money and literally buying Democratic operatives and people in the party.
One thing that I found was really interesting in terms of Bernie winning Nevada. Nevada, much like Texas, is one of the, I think there are 5 states that are not an all-white majority. And I wonder to what extent that played into it and whether we can see a repeat in Texas just based on the fact of you know how people of color are gonna be voting and what direction they're gonna be going in. Especially because we know in South Carolina, there's a question of the black voters. And from the interviews that I saw, a lot of people seem to be very discontent with a lot of the candidates just coming in and quoting MLK, just like that is going to somewhat, connect, form a bond or connection, as opposed to actually talk about policies and what are you going to do to help this community in particular.
And with Latino voters, what's so important for Bernie Sanders and why he has an advantage with that group is because they skew so much younger than other demographic groups in the United States, and Bernie polls so well with younger voters, and that's why he did so well with Latino voters in Nevada, and it's likely buoying his current polling lead in Texas right now, which would be enormous for him. California as well.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if you take Mike Bloomberg's ads, phone calls, radio ads. Have you guys been getting texts from him too?
I got a text.
You guys are a Super Tuesday state. I can't even. I'm on YouTube. Every ad, Tom Steyer, Mike Bloomberg. I can't even believe it. I'm so glad I live in New York.
That's the difference, because neither of those men have any right, and they cannot play on my phone. No, they know better. So no, I have not gotten any.
Yeah, all those coming. If you take that into account, you think this guy is leading, or you maybe even think he's on the ballot in these first few states that he's been consistently working towards. So we'll see what happens as it comes there. But back to your point, John, when you mentioned Donald Trump's tweet. Hey, sure, he's right this time to a degree, but you're right when you tweet about everything. Every once in a while, you end up getting something right. When you consider, well, especially when your tweet is, so in South Carolina, Joe Biden wins. That's bad for Bloomberg. Okay.
Yeah, well,
that happens.
Like
if you state the facts that Joe Biden won, then oh my God, it's a thing.
What he's also right about is that Mini Mike is just a great nickname.
Oh, let's not even put that out there into the universe.
It's funny. Sorry.
There's some times that I don't want to laugh. So 2 things really fast. First, I did get a text message from Mike Bloomberg, and I just laughed at it, like both in real life and in the text response. I also, haha.
Kill it.
Yeah, and then I broke my phone because I can't abide it. But then I got a letter from Mike Bloomberg that when you open up, it folds out in like 8 different directions, and each one is a lie about his record. But it was really nice, and so I might vote for him. But also, I did want to read. We had someone tweeted in about a tweet about a Bernie Sanders supporter in South Carolina. I want to read that tweet, and you guys and everyone at home, see if you notice the little Easter egg in this tweet. So Barbara Sprunt tweeted, Dale McCants, a big Sanders supporter, says he thinks the South Carolina primaries make or break for Joe Biden, and he needs to be broke. If a Sanders win is top of mind for supporters here in Virginia Beach, number 2 is the hope that Biden will drop out of the race. Do you notice anything about that tweet?
Yeah, well, not the tweet.
The picture?
Just progressive versus everybody.
That's our shirt.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So Dale McCants, thank you for representing TYT there on the big primary day.
All right.
Yeah.
Making it happen. What do you know? I like this. So we've seen, again, I feel like Elizabeth Warren is the name to watch tonight to see if anything helps as far as her movement through here, because that will, I think, feed into, I don't know, whether or not she hangs around or whether or not someone else feels that they can't be the one to replace her in that positioning. There was something that stuck out to me, because from when Cenk was on, and he talked about how the momentum will push. There was, outside of that, more than half of voters just in this particular state want a candidate who can beat Trump, and that would outweigh things like the issues that they are most important to them. I'll read specifically what it says. A little over half of Democratic voters in South Carolina say they prefer a candidate who can beat Trump versus someone who agrees with them on the issues, according to those exit polls, of course. That was around 60% said that. And I feel like those two thought processes don't really match up. What does that mean? It's such an arbitrary a line in the sand. I need someone who can beat Trump.
That's everyone's priority.
Yeah, of course. Like, who's voting for a Democrat and then saying, I'm voting for a Democrat, but not one that can beat Trump?
Well, actually, some people might just do that out of purpose. Like we had talked about Elizabeth Warren and her supporters. You know, what if they want to put the vote in for Elizabeth Warren, and even though she couldn't necessarily beat Trump.
And they don't believe it either.
But it's all about perception, right? So Bernie Sanders, the biggest thing that was hamstringing him for so long was the perception that he can't defeat Trump. And then you look at these polls, like we covered earlier in the week, now over 70% of Democratic voters think he's the best candidate to defeat Trump. And that's the thing that has helped him the most, because people are starting to wake up to this myth that you have to be in the center of politics to win, because we saw in 2016 that didn't work. The far right demagogue won and the centrist lost. And Bernie Sanders is further left, a far left politician in this country at least, and he's speaking to people, and now the Democratic base is like, wait, that actually might work for us. And so that's what's helping him nationally, not here in South Carolina.
Yeah, so messaging, you have to say it 1,000,000 times. It's all about the messaging, because you'll hear it 1,000,000,000 times that so-and-so can't win, they can't win. We're not this kind of country. If we adopt that, people are gonna riot. People love their private health care that siphons all their money out of them and gives them nothing in return. It's just, we're given these things, and then every time a politician says, America wants this, I'm like, who did you talk to? It sounds like you want it, and you're telling Americans that they want it, but sadly that works.
It's marketing, that's how Trump is president. That's how Trump's president. He's the master marketer of himself as a competent human.
Geez, so we'll see where this goes, and then the viability of whoever comes out for it.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, Jayar, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.